And on my way back to where Richard was, a ball of fire came down the hall. It was a long hallway. I don't know it's Richard at that time. I just see a ball of fire.
Wow. You had mentioned the fire, that the fire prevented, I guess it took away the attention.
Right. The primary became Richard's life, man.
Right. And the story is that you were actually there.
Yeah.
You want to kind of talk about that day? Like, you guys were watching TV, but what was going on even before you watching TV? What kind of day was that?
One of the things that Richard and I was doing, Richard was, doing what he said in his comedy, having his cookies and milk. And we was looking at the Vietnam Wars, and there was a monk that set himself on fire. And I said to Richard, look at this gentleman's commitment. And in Richard Pryor fashion, he said, fuck his commitment. He didn't even flinch. And we laughed at it, but it wasn't a hearty laugh. It was just like a laugh because he was high. And I left the room, and on my way back to where Richard was, a ball of fire came down the hall. It was a long hallway. I don't know it's Richard at that time. I just see a ball of fire.
Wow.
Literally, whatever Richard's height was, the fire was that big. And it was running towards me, and of course I moved out of the way of it.
Right. What's going on in your head?
Get out the way. Simple as that. I'm not thinking, this Richard Pryor, hold on. Fuck out the way. Anything that can bring pain, get out the way, then I can evaluate better. But if I'm in the pain of it, evaluation.
Get out the way.
Get out the way. Then I see him go out the door and running down this long driveway. Now I realize it's Richard. But I'm like 90% is Richard. Let me go to the room where I know I left him at to make sure.
Okay.
And that's when I knew it was Richard. And I seen Aunt D chasing him. And she had to be at that time 68.
Who's Aunt D, just for people that don't know?
Aunt D was Richard's uncle, Uncle Dickie's wife. Okay. So she was the one that was chasing him. Until this day, at Richard's house, you only could get in the house two ways. You either had the remote control or the code. Mm-hmm. So till this day, I don't know how Richard got out of the gate. I don't know how he got over the gate. The gate was 7 feet, and Richard got out of the gate. Sure, I know he didn't have a keypad or anything with him. And he was able to run 2 or 3 blocks before he collapsed.
It was, so you said it was just a usual high? Like that, it was no, before the fire happened, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing was off, just usual.
It was something that you had seen before. Mm-hmm. So you could walk away from it knowing, okay, he getting high. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like you wasn't hearing things about suicide. You wasn't, it wasn't that kind of situation.
And then kind of lead in with that, there was a conversation, and I think Richard expressed that he was trying to take his life.
No, he never expressed that.
He didn't, okay.
He said that I heard what y'all said about me. Mm-hmm. And he lit a match, Richard Pryor, running down the street. He always made it, for me, on the inside, I know it was a sacrifice. But he never said that to people because he didn't, no excuses. So he wouldn't say that to give people an excuse.
That he was trying to take his life.
Right.
That's a big, I was doing research today, everyone kind of was co-signing that.
That's what you say if you catch on fire. Yes, you're trying to kill yourself. And yes, that's something, but it's like, one of my teachers said to me one time, if you want to commit suicide and you really think you want to kill yourself, instead of jumping off of a building, letting the car hit you or shooting yourself in the head, just starve yourself to death. Stop eating. And within 50 or 60 days, a clarity will come back to you. So it was a reaction that he had to something. But because I wasn't in the room, I can't say this is why he did anything. Right. I can't say he wanted, because there was guns there. He could have blew his head off. He could have did all of those things. But he didn't.
So maybe a bad trip. He was just...
an experience, a moment. It was just a moment. But that moment caused this, you know, the combination of you looking at the commitment that this monk had to a cause, how you view yourself, how you was looking at your addiction. All of those things could have just came in at one time, but I don't.
And he said, I want to might try it or give it a shot. Yeah.
I just knew that I knew a fifth of rum, 151, was it. When you went to the room, it was just much left in the bottle. So you had to have doused yourself with that and set it yourself, whether you set yourself on fire or you caught on fire doing something, because you're talking about a drug stupor. So unless I was in the room, you don't really know how it happened. It could have been an accident. And the reason it's hard to accept as an accident, because how many people do you know set themselves on fire? So we don't know.